sector, promote national cohesion and social inclusion, allow markets to function, and of course uphold core values. Let's look at this with an economist with Teva Capital, Michael Famoruti. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Good afternoon.
So what do you make of the federal government's economic recovery plan?
Okay, well, I think the first thing is that we're all very relieved to have the plan out publicly. It was slated to be released at the end of February, and if you go through the plan, you see that work on it was already being done as at the end of third quarter, start of fourth quarter last year. So given the importance of the plan in getting some of those concessionary loans released, it's a big plus to have it. The content of the plan, of course, are completely different.
It's always known to have plans and programs. What do you think makes this different?
Well, so going by the plan itself, what makes this one different is the implementation. Obviously, that is not something that we have yet seen. If we look at the performance of the 2016 budget, for example, it doesn't show any sort of change in the approach, but the belief or the idea that has been set out on this plan is that implementation is going to be different. So there's a slated economic recovery and growth plan delivery unit that is going to be created to ensure that the plan is actually carried out as expected. Also, the contents of the plan are rather promising in their market-based focus and their focus on entrepreneurship through the youth and also ICT, as well as the normal issues of power infrastructure and oil. So I think those are some of the main things that I would highlight as different. But again, the implementation is what they're hinging the success of this plan on, and that is what we would have to be looking out for as they release their quarterly reports.
Talking about implementation, as an economist, what in the short-term measure, what do you expect to see the federal government do?
Okay, so I think a number of what has been outlined in the plan is already going on. So if you look at it from the oil area, there are already moves to exit the JV cash call program. There is ongoing negotiation with the Niger Delta militants because the plan itself admits in the risks section that the security of oil infrastructure remains a very important part of Nigeria's economy. So those negotiations that are ongoing, that is another big part. I think even from a policy perspective, they highlight the handshake between monetary, fiscal, and trade policy. And obviously, we haven't had the MEC meeting yet for March. But from January's meeting, we know that the CBN is already looking towards aligning more towards a growth focus in tandem with fiscal policy. So we're already seeing some of these, even in agriculture and solid minerals as well. We're seeing some policies already being enacted or some movements on these fronts, mainly because the plan is also a consolidation of disparate sector-focused plans like the APP and 7 big wins of the NNPC and so on.
Now, talking about driving the economy is a matter of bringing together the monetary policy and the fiscal policy together. What do you make of the synergy between these two?
Well, it's a very important signal, first of all, both for local businesses, but also for international investors. It also is important in terms of their sometimes counteractive effect. So if you have contractory monetary policy with expansionary fiscal policy, then that can sometimes limit the effect of government spending, but it can also lead to very high borrowing costs and a debt problem for the government. So it's important generally to have these two aligned working together. That said, there is a need for, or in recent times, there has been a need for some monetary policy independence, and my hope would be that that would still be retained to some extent, in as much as they're going for, a stronger handshake and ensuring that policy levers are moving in the same direction.
Now, looking at what the federal government is doing so far to revitalize the economy, do you think that should have come earlier than now?
Well, I think the pace of progress is something that most people have not been happy with. It's not something that was expected. Some of these things have been out of their hands. I mean, the delays to the 2016 budget was a real red flag. But I think even the fact that the plan is out now, albeit slightly late, is a step in the right direction. And whereas we would have wanted to have these sort of plans spelt out this way a while back, the hard work starts now, really, in terms of implementing what is actually on paper.
Now, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee is expected to meet this month, looking at the GDP growth rate that was released and, of course, the inflation figure. What do you expect to hear by the time the Monetary Policy Committee meets?
Well, I think on the growth front, actually, no one was surprised by the Q4 or full year 2016 numbers. So I don't think that would change anything from their perspective in January. I think what they will be looking at is two things. One is February inflation, which we expect to come down slightly due to base effect. But also they will be looking at their own foreign exchange liquidity. And those are the factors that will drive their confidence in moving towards the looser monetary policy stance, because we do know that they want to go there. It's just a case of when they're going to do that.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Michael Famuriti, economist with Verteva Capital. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.